Today, we are going to be doing label reading that your kids can do. So there's 3 things that we're going to look at today. They are so simple. You don't need to know anything about numbers, anything like that. So if we haven't met, my name is Denise Jelinek. I'm a mom, and I'm so into everything that is healthy and simple. And, if it's complicated, I'm not doing it. And so I can't expect you to do it either, or even to be even a little helpful. So let's keep it super simple. Let's keep it something that your 5-year-old, your 4-year-old will be able to do. Okay, so I do have a printable for this, and it is in the description. So print it out, put it on your fridge, and you will be good to go. Okay, so let's jump into this. And there's 3 things that we're going to look at today. We're going to cover the 3 ingredients to avoid. We are going to talk about what are the best breads and crackers and how you can look at that. And then this little debate of, should I have cereal for breakfast or a smoothie? How do you really know what kind of breakfast foods are best for your kids to get off to school? Even if that's just to your kitchen table or wherever you have them. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is there are 3 things that your kids need to avoid, and all they have to do is turn over a food label and they're looking for anything that has a color and a number sign. Oh my gosh, we do not like food dyes. Number 1. Number 2, they want to avoid the term called high fructose corn syrup. Totally processed. Not getting into all of it, but it's a very cheap sweetener, and that's why it's in so many foods. Okay. And the third thing that you want to avoid is this really crazy word called hydrogenated or fractionated oils. So you might think, well, Denise, that's not very simple. I mean, my kids can't even read those words. Exactly. So they really only need to know, hey, do I see a color with a number sign? Not food for me. Does it say high fructose corn syrup? That's kind of like a really weird way to have corn syrup. They'll be able to find that word. It looks kind of weird. They can at least find corn, I'm sure. And then finally, that hydrogenated or fractionated oil. They pretty much mean the same thing. And what they do is they pretty much make our food very sustainable on the shelf, but it's pretty much like plastic in our bodies. Who wants to eat plastic? Oh. Okay, so you know the top 3 things that you should be avoiding. If you see it on the shelf, if you see it on the package, just leave it on the shelf. Remember, moms, we only have to make food decisions one time, the right food decision one time. And that's in the grocery store, right? So you can leave it there. Okay, so the second thing that we want to talk about are breads, like breads and crackers. And how do I know if it's whole grain, whole wheat? I don't really know. Okay, well, whole grains are fantastic. They have a lot of phytonutrients in them. And when you look at a whole grain or whole wheat flour, now I'm not getting into the gluten issue here. That's something else. But if you do have gluten and you have whole wheat, know that you want to have the whole wheat because there's many parts to wheat germ, and you want to have all of the parts that have the nutrients in it and the fiber. So how can you tell? Well, don't look at the front of a package. You're going to have to actually look at the ingredient, and what you want to look at in the ingredient, it's very simple. The first ingredient should say whole wheat flour. That's it. Whole wheat or whole oat, or whatever your preference is, whole. And that needs to be in the ingredients. The other thing you want to look at is when you look at your serving of whatever that cracker, bread, bun is, it needs to have at least 3 grams of fiber. Okay? That makes it very time released. That means that there's a lot of nutrients in it. Pretty simple, huh? Best breads ever. Best breads, best crackers, whole wheat flour, whole oat flour, whatever. It needs to say whole. And it also needs to have at least 3 grams of fiber, dietary fiber per serving. So on to number 3, best breakfast cereals for our kids or for humans. So, take this for yourself. Okay, so should I have cereal? Should I have a smoothie? What should I have? Okay, so if you're doing something like that, here's what you need to look at. is that you should know that 4 grams of sugar is one of these packets. So if you look at your kid's cereal and it says how much sugar is in it, know that every 4 grams you're going to have a packet of sugar. Okay, I'll do another Facebook Live another time on how much sugar is in different products, but let's just know that that's a good visual, right? And if you want, you can even buy some of these packets and you can show your kids when you're trying to like convince them to have different cereals, or trying to convince them that, you know, my kids will say, hey, can we get blah 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 cereal? And I'll say that would be a fabulous dessert. Would you like that for dessert? And then they say, well, no, I'd rather have ice cream or whatever their favorite dessert is. Okay, then we're going to leave that there unless you want to have that for dessert, all right? Okay, so now here's the thing, is that, so just look at sugar. You ideally want to have like 6 grams or less of sugar. And again, those 3 grams of fiber. Now you have different smoothie mixes, and you'll want to just, again, look at the nutrient label. Now this is more for you moms, not for the kids. And we're looking for the amount of sugar, and then we're also looking for the amount of fiber. So if you have a smoothie, think of how many more nutrients you're probably getting than if you just had like a bowl of cereal, right? And so there's 2 things that you should look at. You should look at the sugar content, of course, because sugar makes things definitely enter the bloodstream quickly. However, you also have to look at the fiber content because there is a balance there, especially when we're talking about natural sugars. If we're talking about sugars that come from natural sources, it might appear to be like a high amount of sugar, but given that there's a high amount of fiber in there as well, the food becomes very time released. And that's what we want. We want our kids to stay full long. We want to stay full long. So you want to make sure that you have at least 3 grams of fiber in whatever serving you're having. I love the Juice Plus Complete smoothies. And what I absolutely love is that there is 7 grams of fiber, right? 7 grams of fiber. So it's super time released. Here's the thing, guys, is that this can be super simple. And the best thing is when you teach your kids this, you don't have to do it anymore. They start to make those choices for themselves. So let's do a really quick review. And you can let me know if you guys have any specific foods that you would like me to look at. And I'm happy to offer my comments there. So number 1, avoid the top 3 ingredients, which are colors with numbers, high fructose corn syrup, and fractionated or hydrogenated oil. Crazy names. The best breads and crackers have at least 3 grams of fiber and have whole wheat, blah, 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 as the first ingredient. Don't look at the front of the package. You have to turn it over. And finally, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. Cereals versus smoothies. Well, just make sure that whatever you're giving your kids, remember that every 4 grams of sugar is at least 1 packet, just like this. And so if there's going to be sugar in added sugar into a product, make sure there's enough fiber in there, and then hopefully that sugar source isn't like high fructose corn syrup or something really like chemically. You want to have something really natural. So I hope that helps you. And listen, if you have any questions and you would like me to look at a food label for you, or show us a picture of your kids actually looking at a food label, or even with the printable, I would love to see it. So thanks, moms. I'll see you back here next, and then my next Facebook Live, where we're going to be talking about how to prep lunch once for the entire week. So take care and hope you have an awesome day.